Hello, and welcome to today's super exciting topic. Probably one of the most exciting topics. I mean, I go over a lot of ones that are really powerful and really important. This one, there's a different little aspect to it. So I hope you enjoy today's information on Sports and Performance 101. Now, a little word about this before we go into it is I view each person that comes into my office as a performer, okay? Not like a haha, up on the stage performing, but really an athlete. That's really how I see my patients. And this could be talking about kids who are doing soccer or baseball, basketball, football, even ballet, swimming. This also extends to our pregnant moms because their bodies go through tremendous changes, and it's really important to have the ability to perform on a daily basis, especially if you already have kids. You're over chasing those guys around. And then also your body's working on creating a new life and nourishing and developing that new one. And yet you still have the demands and requirements in daily life. So these are our pregnant women. These are our office workers. When I was in the Army, I actually was voluntold to be in Army intelligence. I was what they refer to as a chairborne ranger. And so I was a counterintelligence agent, and we would collect information, we would write reports. And so the bulk of my job was chairborne. In other words, I was typing reports many hours a day, sending those reports up. And so I look at people who have desk jobs. I look at people who are construction workers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, teachers. All of these have physical demands on our body. And so each of my patients that come on, I look at them as athletes, as requiring performance. So today's information will, yes, be directed at sports and kids and athletics and college and all the above. And then also anyone in life that has physical demands, which of course is all of us. So we're talking about what experts won't tell you about enhancing your performance naturally today. And 5 things you're going to learn. So the truth about enhancing performance. We're going to learn the 5 nutrients that support function and performance, the 3 types of food to avoid. I call these the performance death foods. We're going to go over the 4 lifestyle habits that produce a compound effect with all the other changes we're talking about today. And then this one is key. So a secret ingredient to performance enhancement, the best athletes in the world cannot go without. And by the way, on that one, most people are not even talking about it. So that one's kind of a hidden one for you. All right, so why am I here? I'm here as a chiropractor because I mean, really so much attention and focus is directed not only at our kids, but also at all kinds of performers. And they're missing a key component when they actually direct to the public. In other words, this is something that the public is missing. And yet if you go to the elite athletes, they know these secrets. And so I want to bring these to you. That's why I'm here today, to share this information. So here's the problem is there's a lot of confusion. So people are so confused with all the information out there. How do we know what's the best? What's the best technique? What are the best approaches to use? What do we eat? What do we put into our body? How do we recover from exercise? How do we get the best out of our performance? There's a lot of information you can find if you go Google or search on the internet. I want to just condense it down, give you the real key nuggets for today, and then share some secrets and tips with you that'll really enhance the performance. All right, so here's the 3 keys out of the performance. There's the chemical, in other words, what we put into our body, what we're exposed to. And so on this one, a lot of people will, historically look at things like steroids and performance enhancing drugs. And of course, there's the monster drinks and energy drinks, all kinds of things that will give you a buzz or stimulant in the short term, but over the long term, you're actually sacrificing future performance for a little bit of an edge in the moment. And so I want you to caution you on some of these chemicals. We're going to go over those today. Also, so the mental, super important. If you look at elite athletes, everyone from like Michael Phelps, if you go to any elite level of any sport, they're going to talk about visualization. We're going to talk about that a bit today. So how your mentality enhances or takes away from your performance. Super important. It's one of the 3 legs of this 3-legged stool we're talking about. And then of course, physical, this is where everyone focuses. How do you jump higher, run faster, move better? All things pretty much when it comes to the public domain is focused on this physical attainment of achieving performance. And so we're going to talk about all three of these and how they work together. And really there's one central that all three of these are integrated into. And really that's why I want to share this information with you today. So here's that one that integrates everything. It's called the nervous system. It is our control center for all function and performance and recovery. Dr. Bruce Lipton, cell biologist at Stanford, love how he puts it. He says the function of the nervous system, your brain and spinal cord, the function of that system is to perceive the environment and coordinate the behavior of all other cells. And so if we're talking about performance, you really want to make sure that this system is at its best, it's at its peak, so it can integrate all those things that you're trying to put in to enhance your performance or to stay in the game, to stay active with those kids and to secure your future as an athlete. You want to make sure that those are functioning at their best, and you really have to address the nervous system. If you're not, you're missing out. As in the right side of this picture here, there's things that happen in life. There's weddings and there's houses and that we buy, and there's babies that come into our life. There's new jobs and new friends and new schools. All of these things influence our nervous system. Our nervous system has to adapt to that and then really direct which side it wants to go to, whether it's the rest and relaxation, recovery, or the fight or flight. And when we're talking about performance, whether it be Taekwondo or other martial arts, MMA, I've taken care of MMA fighters before, it doesn't matter which side you're on, you have to have a balance of these systems. In other words, if you are stuck in rest and relax, you can't perform to your highest ability. And on the other side, if you're stuck in fight or flight because your nervous system is functioning poorly, then you're not going to be able to recover as well. And performance, I'll tell you, is all about recovery. You have to perform in the moment, and then you have to recover afterwards so that you can continue to have that function in the future. So we're going to be talking a lot about recovery. So really amazing is the way that our body heals. And so this is really the foundational philosophy as a chiropractor, is the fact that if we put a Band-Aid on someone's ouchie, if they have a cut or scrape and we put a Band-Aid on there, some ointment on there, and then we take it off, we never say, oh, I'm so grateful for the healing properties of that Band-Aid. Okay, we don't think that thought. Well, it's not in other words, it's not the Band-Aid that does the healing. Same thing with a cast. We break a bone, we cast it, we protect it. It's not the cast that heals us. We have this innate or inner ability to heal that we're born with. And so really, if we can harness that property of our body's own ability to heal, in other words, if we take things away that are preventing our body from healing, really that's how we're going to obtain optimal results. And so our foundational philosophy with chiropractic is that your body heals itself. It has this inborn or innate ability to do so. And we really need to harness and tap into that rather than trying to mask it or cover it up with other things. Okay, we're grateful for casts, we're grateful for Band-Aids, but we have to respect and honor the fact that it was our body that had that ability to heal. And so what do we do as chiropractors? We understand that the nervous system plays a central role when it comes to healing. And so it's not my opinion, it's not something I made up, it doesn't just sound good, it actually is the truth. When we look at a baby being developed inside the womb, 3 to 6 weeks, we can see over here in this picture on the bottom left that there is a stripe along the back. And so that is not the bones. There are no organs present. That is the spinal cord. Okay, in this case, it's called the notochord. It's the precursor to the spinal cord. That is the nervous system. It's one of the first systems that ever develops. 3 weeks old. Most women don't even know they're pregnant at that period of time. Up until 6 weeks, you can see the spinal cord forming. And that nervous system directs and controls all functions for the entire life of that human being. So when we're talking about the nervous system, there's 2 different categories, as I mentioned before, this rest dominant and the fight dominant. And so if you want to enhance your performance, if you want to perform at your best, whether it's cycling, whether it's swimming, running, jogging, you have to understand that rest is crucial. So when you're in this left-sided rest dominant state, rest and relaxation is primary, health and recovery is number 1. When you're working out, when you're running the distances, your body is breaking down. Okay, it performs at a high level, your body breaks down, and if you don't give it time to recover, it won't be as strong the next time. However, if you do give it time to recover, it's going to come back stronger because of that innate ability to heal. Okay, over here on the right side, if your nervous system is stuck and it's directing you more towards this fight dominant, what will happen is you will perform better in the immediate moment, and at the same time, you'll sacrifice the future of your performance. In other words, you won't be able to recover. You'll be more susceptible to injuries. You'll also develop other health conditions over time because you're not giving your body the ability to recover fully to its ability. And so it's really important that we have balance, and your nervous system does a great job of maintaining balance as long as we keep those three-legged stools, the mental, the chemical, and then the physical. As long as we keep them in balance, your body does a great job of balancing this fight versus rest dominant state. However, when we have problems, and we'll talk about some of those problems in the near right away actually, if you have problems in there, then your nervous system gets confused and it doesn't know which way to direct you. And that creates problems with the recovery specifically. Okay, let's talk about the things that we can do. So here's the 5 keys to increasing your performance by supporting and improving the function in your nervous system. So once again, everything we're going to talk about today is supporting that central system that governs and coordinates all function to help you perform at your best today, but also in the future. So the number one thing I want to mention is this idea of your mind, your mindset, visualization. This is one that top athletes, they don't skip. Okay, it sounds super easy to skip over it. Oh, you know, it's all in your head. You've heard that lots of times if you've had anything to do with medicine or healthcare system, it's all in your head. Many people who come into my office, if they have a pain, they'll say, my doctor says it's in my head, but it really feels like it's in my upper back and shoulder, but they can't find anything. And so this idea of what's in your head, it's super powerful, okay? And what's in your head actually directs what happens in your body. So what we want to do is we want to visualize. We want to imagine the situation we would like to create as if it's happening in the present moment. In other words, if we're running a race, if we're performing with a martial art, if we are, you know, if we're a stay-at-home mom and we're chasing those kids around, we want to imagine the situation that we'd like to create and imagine ourselves as if it's already happening in the present moment. Okay. What I want you to do with me during this exercise is you're going to breathe. What you want to do is you want to, while you're inhaling, push that breath in through your nose, all the way down through your throat, through your chest, and then all the way down into your gut. You want to push that breath all the way down. So when you breathe in, you want to expand your belly. The first 2/3 of the breath are directed down into that area. The last 1/3 of your breath will actually elevate your chest and your ribs, expand your lungs as most people think of them. But once again, that first 2/3 is down in the belly. This is so many things within the body. Number one, it creates a different focus of your nervous system. Your nervous system, your consciousness is actually directed at the breath. Doing that is incredibly healing because you're not engaged with all the distractions of life. Whether you're at your desk at work, whether you're, like I said, in construction, creating, you know, pouring swimming pools, whether you're working on HVAC systems, whether you're in pest control, it doesn't matter what you do, your physical body is incredibly important. So you want to take this time with me now to do this breathing exercise. So you want to breathe in and push that breath all the way down. And there's no number associated with that. You just want to focus on that situation you'd like to create. And then what I want you to do is breathe out to the count of 5. And then that's out through your mouth. When you get your breath all the way out, you want to hold it out for 2 seconds. And then the inhale, once again, will take care of itself. Okay, so you want to focus on 5 seconds of exhaling. When you do inhale, you want to direct the breath, but you're not counting a certain number. And then you want to hold the breath out once you've breathed out to the count of 5. Hold it out for 2 seconds. And you want to do that to a cycle of 10. Okay, it's 5 seconds out, 2-second hold, it's 5 and 2, and then you want to do that 10 times through. You can focus for the first 2 or 3 times on the ideal situation you want to create, whether that's in performance or sports or at home or at work. And then after those first 2 or 3 with that ideal situation, then you want to focus on 3 different things that you're grateful for. And these can be anything. I mean, we have so much in today's modern society that we have the ability to be grateful for. I always tell my kids that if you have trouble thinking of things, you can think of the millions of people who literally don't have clean water, the millions of people around the world who literally have no shoes, who literally have no refrigerators, no light switches, who literally don't know what they're going to eat tomorrow. There are millions around the world that have that. And so living in a society where most of us have those things, we can just think of those simple things for this exercise. So the first 2 to 3 breaths, think of the ideal situation you'd like to create. For the next 7 to 8 breaths, you want to focus 2 or 3 breaths on one gratitude. Okay, so we'll get a few gratitudes. Breathe in, push that breath down, breathe it out to the count of 5, and then hold it out for 2, and then let the air come back in and think of a gratitude. Incredibly powerful exercise. There's a lot of research actually on how visualization literally creates a different future for you. Okay. There's been many different studies. One of them that I'm thinking of, they actually casted people's hands and they had people visualize playing the piano. And they did this for 10 days. And then when they took the cast off, so this was so that they could not move their wrist. When they took the cast off, they measured and compared them with a control group who didn't get casted and who didn't get the visualization exercises to do. They actually measured the strength in their forearms. The people who had the cast on that had the visualization actually had improvements in the strength of their muscles. And so what does this mean? This means that the nervous system, that system of our body that's in control of the visualization, it actually prepared the body to be able to perform better by increasing the muscle strength where it was needed, even though it was unable to move. So the physical muscles couldn't move, and yet they were stronger because of the visualization. And that's just one study. There's many others that show this support. So this is one of the key foundations, whether, like I said, we're athletes or whether we're at home with our kids, whether we're in an office, whether we're in nursing, whether we're teaching. This is something powerful you can integrate right now. Either do it in the evening, do it in the morning, visualize what you want to create in your life. Powerful, powerful exercise. All right, key number 2. Now we're moving towards the chemical. So you want to avoid these death foods. These are inflammation. What inflammation does is it prevents your body from recovering. We talked about performance and how important recovery is. You can't get better if you don't allow yourself time to recover. And so these inflammatory death foods will actually prevent you from doing that, meaning you're not going to perform as well over time. Your body will break down sooner. So the number 1 on the list is sugars. So this includes grains, packaged foods, and refined carbohydrates. So breads, pasta, cake, crackers, donuts, sodas, all these things. Sugars, you want to avoid those at all costs. Historically, Americans over the years have increased the amount of sugar they're taking each year. It's becoming more of an awareness now that these are terrible and have always been terrible for us. And so fortunately, thankfully, a lot of us have chosen to cut back on sugar. So I'm happy to see that trend. We definitely want it to continue. Number 2 is artificial sweeteners. So when we're cutting out sugar, oftentimes, unfortunately, here's where we switch to, which is the Splenda sweeteners in the aspartames, sucralose, things like that. And then also I would include high fructose corn syrup. It's not a natural sweetener. Yes, corn is natural, but the high fructose corn syrup that they do, totally not natural. And then also diet sodas include some more of those additional sweeteners, artificial sweeteners. So you want to avoid these. These are neurotoxic. Okay, these affect the way that the brain functions. So these get in the way of your brain actually directing its recovery. And then the third one down here, hydrogenated oils. And so first off, all vegetable oils are ones you want to avoid. These have been touted as health foods. They're not health foods. If you have vegetable oil in your house, dump it out. And then anything that's heated, any of these vegetable oils that are heated, so canola, vegetable, soybean, corn oil, anything that's microwavable, frozen foods, you want to avoid those at all costs. And these are damaging to the body and your body's ability to recover. They damage the nervous system. And then every cell of your body has fats in it. You have what's called the phospholipid bilayer. There's 2 layers of fat surrounding every single cell in your whole body. You want to get in the good fats and keep these nasty bad fats out. Okay, so here's what you want to add. You want to add these 5 nutrients that boost your performance. Okay, and so the focus here is on clean. And so things like berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, these are highly antioxidant and reduce damage that happens while you're performing. When you're performing, you breathe at an accelerated rate, you exhale at an accelerated rate. There's an exchange of carbon and oxygen. And so you want to burn clean fuel in your body. And these things are fantastic for the extra performance that you're giving your body. Okay, for recovery, berries are fantastic. You want to put in the good fats, so things like coconut oil, avocados, olive oil. Also, bone broth protein is in there too. Fantastic recovery substance that you can put into your body, really reestablishes and strengthens the joints that you've pounded with your performance. Okay, and here's one of the superfoods I want to recommend for you. It's beets, because these have fantastic substances that really help to boost your energy. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cell. If you remember biochemistry or biology back in high school, mitochondria, these produce your energy, and beets activate the mitochondria. Fantastic kind of secret weapon. You can add clean protein, so things like wild-caught fish, grass-fed beef, free-range eggs, chicken, and also if you do the bone broth, you want to make sure it comes from a clean source. You want to make sure the animals that you're going to put into your body, they've been treated well, and that they have not been fed all kinds of nasty chemicals. You want to keep that out of your body so you can perform at your best. Omega-3 foods, the reason why is these are brain enhancing. So things like fish oils and wild-caught fish, you want to stay away from farmed fish. What this does is it allows your brain to be more efficient. When you have a more efficient brain, you perform better. So the first 1/3 of all increase in performance is actually a change within the brain. And so let's say, for example, you're going to start a program of lifting weights. That first strength gain, in other words, if today's Monday and you start your strength program for the first time, and if you measure on Friday that you have an increased amount of strength, it's not because the muscles got bigger. It's because there was more efficiency in your nervous system. And so by eating omega-3 rich foods, like I said, the fish oils, the wild-caught fish, what it does is it enhances your nervous system to be able to create that efficiency. So you'll have better gains without additional effort, because your body is working at its best. So omega-3s, I can't speak highly enough about those. So you want to take omega-3 fish oils, you want to take vitamin D, and then of course water, and more water to drink. Stay away from the calorie stuff, and even stay away from those artificial sweeteners. So water is the best thing to drink when you're performing. If you want something sweet, eat a fruit, eat those berries to recover after the performance. All right, number 4. Super important. You cannot build muscle. You cannot perform at your best. You cannot stay strong. You cannot stay healthy unless you're giving your body recovery time. And sleep is the critical component. So you want to shoot for 7 to 9 hours every night. Okay. And actually, when I say every night, I want to take that back. You want to focus on a weekly cycle. You want to make sure that you get enough sleep every week. There may be some days where you have less sleep. There may be some days where you have more sleep, but you want to plan your week so that over the course of a week, you're not creating what's called the sleep debt. Sleep debt is when you, over a period of time, consistently have fewer hours than your body requires. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that if you don't have something one day, let's call it Sunday morning, that you don't have something intense going on, sleep in longer. Okay, let's say that Monday morning you have a super early class, or you want to get to the gym super early, you have a super early work meeting you need to get to, then you might have less sleep on Sunday night. But during the week, during each week, you want to make sure that you make up any sleep debt. Okay, so yes, the focus is on 7 to 9 hours per night. However, it doesn't have to be super consistent, but you do want to plan ahead, and you do want to pick the days, pick the nights that you're going to have an early bedtime, and then the ones that maybe you might need to stay up later, or you might need to get up earlier. Okay, but focus on bedtime, get to bed on your directed time, make it a conscious choice. Don't let things kind of happen. Otherwise, those sleep debts get created. This is why I actually stopped Facebook for a period of about 5 years, was because I noticed I was accruing a sleep debt. I was up till 1, 2 in the morning. I'm like, why am I still looking at this stuff? It was super addicting, and so I just had to stop so I could actually get some sleep. All right, so sleep, super important. So why in the world am I showing you this picture? Because secret number five, is one that you're not going to find in the public realm. Although, like I said before, if you go to elite athletes, you will know that almost all of them use this next tip. Okay, and they understand this next principle I'm going to teach. And so what I want you to do is forevermore, anytime you sit down in your car, I want you to think of what I'm going to tell you now. So there's a secret hidden in this page. Did you know that there's a way that if you're in a friend's car, if you're in a rental car, if you're in a car that's not yours, you can, from the driver's seat, as you're driving on the freeway, you can know, if you pull up to a gas tank, you can know which side it's supposed to be on without getting out of the car. okay? And it's staring you right in the face. If you've heard this before from me, because I've talked about it a couple times, you'll know it, you'll look at it and you'll say, aha, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. If you've never heard this before, this is gonna change your life, because every time you look at your gas tank, you're gonna think of Dr. Steve. You're gonna think about this information I'm about to tell you, because it's right there, it's obvious. However, most people don't know about this. I didn't know about what I'm gonna tell you until I'd been driving for more than 20 years when I first found out this idea. But so if you look at the gas tank right here in the middle of the picture, there's an arrow that points to the side which the gas tank is on. And so why is this relevant? Why am I even taking time to tell you about this? Because it happened to me. We were in Anaheim. We had flown into Disneyland. It was a business trip, and we had left the hotel with plenty of time to get back to the airport. And we got to the airport. We were about to turn in our rental car, and unfortunately found out that we had left something really important, which is called a government issued ID, at the hotel. And so we weren't even going to be able to get onto the plane unless we drove back quickly, got our IDs, and then we drove back to the airport. So needless to say, we were in a rush, and anyone who's driven a rental car knows you definitely want to fill it up. And so this saved precious seconds by knowing this idea, that I could tell from the driver's seat which side I would have to pull into the gas station to fill up. Okay, so it was a super stressful situation, made less stressful because I knew the information. And so it's just that most of us don't know. So anytime you get in your car, think of Dr. Steve, you know which side the gas tank is on, just like this information. It's staring you in the face, super important, but most people just don't know. So number 5 is your spine and nervous system. In other words, your spinal alignment has everything to do with rest and recovery, and performance in whatever athletic event, or whether, like I said, you're a chairborne ranger like I was in the Army, whether you're a weekend warrior, love hiking, swimming, fishing, whether you're a kid in athletics, whether you do taekwondo or mixed martial arts. This is super critical. This is something that the elites know about, spine and nervous system, and tapping into this. And so Dr. Dan Sullivan, a colleague of mine, says the brain requires feedback from the spine through proper alignment and movement in order to deliver the right information to all muscles, organs, and tissues. So if we want to perform, we have to make sure that your spine and nervous system are functioning correctly, so that your brain can tell and direct your body how to perform, how to recover, because that's its job, that's what it does. And spinal alignment absolutely affects that, and we're going to talk about that. So if you have any question about that, we can just ask this guy. And what happened to Christopher Reeves is that he had a specific injury to a part of his spine. So if we're looking at the right side, this is the back of the neck. We see the brain, the bottom of the brain, and then we see the spinal cord. He had a specific injury to the second bone in his neck. It was a very tiny fracture that happened. It was the size of the tip of the average pinky. That was how small the fracture was. And what it did to him was it shut down his body. It could no longer perform. Arms didn't move, legs didn't move, internal organs started to shut down, had to be on a respirator. I mean, this impacted his life like nothing else could have. It shut everything down. He aged 25 years in less than a decade. All the systems of the body were shut down. Why? Because his nervous system was impacted. His spine moved out of its proper position because of a fracture and injured his spinal cord and shut down everything. Okay, so here's the question, is understanding how a very small yet very specific injury can shut down an entire body. Is it possible that other little tiny injuries, let's say it's posture, or let's say it's a fall, or taking a header in soccer with a ball, whether it's diving and you kind of land in the water wrong and kink your neck, do all of those do nothing? In other words, this one shut down Christopher Reeve's body completely, and yet when we do little injuries or poor posture over a period of years or decades, do those do nothing? And the answer I know to be true, and on all these elite athletes know to be true, is no. It's super important to have proper alignment and properly moving and functioning spine so your nervous system can continue to direct all function and help you recover so you can perform at your best. Okay, so where are we engaging in this today? So like I said before, even if we're not on the soccer field, we're not in the stadium, we're not on the track, how does this impact us? Today, sitting is the new smoking. That's from the Annals of Internal Medicine, 2015. They said that. This affects everybody, our kids at school, adults. In the middle here, we have tech. And so there's excessive amounts of tension and stress that are in the neck and upper back because we're looking down so much at tablets and cell phones and this new technology that's entered our lives in the last 15 years that we didn't have before. It's impacting our kids at a greater rate, ourselves at a greater rate, and it's decreasing our body's ability to function because it's impacting the nervous system. Our body can't direct itself the way it was designed to, and we can't perform at our best because of the stresses in our physical body. And then even birth. So birth traumas often cause the first neurological dysfunction. There was a medical doctor that did a study with 1,000 infants, and he concluded that approximately 80% of normal delivery babies had some form of nerve dysfunction because of the birth process and that head coming through the vaginal canal, or especially if it was a C-section. When they go in there, oftentimes they'll grab the biggest, largest thing so they don't let the baby slip, which is the head. And the head is right on top of the neck. If they're pulling up, and sometimes they use force, I don't want to comment on the percentage of the time, but it's often that this happens, and that can damage the nervous system, the way that it connects the body to the brain, and how it will decrease the ability for that baby to perform lifelong if it's not looked at. So these are just a couple of the issues that many of us will encounter or have encountered or do encounter on a daily basis. So this is physical stress. And so the American Journal of Pain Management actually said that the spine and posture affect and moderate every physiological function from breathing to hormone production. So it's critical that the spine and posture be looked at so that it doesn't decrease our performance. And so what chiropractors refer to this as if there is interference between the brain and the body communicating because of a spinal bone, we call it subluxation. And it doesn't have to be large. It can be extremely small, even smaller than Christopher Reeves's injury. Extremely small. We're talking about areas either that are not moving or not aligned properly, causing this interference with the nervous system. And we'll talk about what that does when this happens. But this is really what chiropractors are looking for. They're looking for subluxation or interference to the body's ability to communicate. But here's what it does. If we have our nervous system, which is supposed to control and direct all functions, and we have a spinal bone that's out of alignment or not moving properly, and we have subluxation, what happens is our body shifts away from this rest and relaxation. We talked about how important that is for recovery time, and it shifts it away from that and into the fight or flight all the time. We talked about the fact that fight or flight is required for short boosts. For short bursts of time during performance is incredibly important. However, if we leave it there for all the time, we're not going to recover, and then we're not going to get the gains, and we're not going to have longevity. In other words, we're not going to be able to keep doing what we're doing. Things will start to break down. We won't be able to be top performers for very long unless we have a nervous system that's directing us towards balance, and then towards fight or flight, and then back towards balance at appropriate times. So what I like to think of this as is it's as if there's a bear in the room, because when there's a bear in the room, your body automatically shifts into that fight or flight mode, and your body prepares itself for an attack. Okay, so I like to think of subluxation when there's an issue in the spine, spinal alignment isn't happening, or it's not moving properly, your nervous system is affected and it shifts you into the fight or flight. It's as if a bear stays in the room because of the inflammatory hormones, the blood, and the stress in the body. Okay, so let's say that there were a bear in the room. Do you think your body could fully focus on proper digestion, on quality sleep and recovery? Could it focus on nerve system balance, hormone control, reducing inflammation? Could it focus on actually getting the distance that you're looking for? And what we know is if there were a bear in the room, your body would focus for a short period of time on that, and then you would wear out. So all these things we talk about, nutrition, exercise, sleep, recovery, all those are super important things. I've talked about that. And so please do them. However, if you have subluxation, in other words, if you have a spinal bone that's misaligned or if it's not moving properly, aka the bear stays in the room, then you won't have proper nutrient absorption. You won't be able to absorb it to the proper potential your body requires. You'll have ineffective exercise. You won't have the performance. And what I'm going to show you is actual studies that demonstrate this point. You won't be able to have that recovery as well. But here's the research. So in 2006, it showed that from a chiropractic adjustment, the vagus nerve was affected. And so the vagus nerve is what directs, it's called the CEO of calm. It directs your body to go from one system to the other, from that fight or flight mode over to the rest, relax, regenerate, restore, repair, recover. And so the vagus nerve is incredibly important. And chiropractic care actually improved the way that the body functions because of the function of the vagus nerve. In 2017, there was a study that used a PET scan, and they actually showed reduced amounts of stress within the nervous system itself. They measured salivary amylase, and also SIG-A, which comes from the mouth. They actually measured stress hormones in the mouth. From one adjustment, they showed that there was a decrease in the amount of stress that the body was under when they removed subluxation through a chiropractic adjustment. So these studies are fantastic. By the way, there are more studies, because a lot of people think that chiropractic for some reason is about back pain and neck pain and other body aches. Those are all side benefits, I would say, to having a properly functioning spine and nervous system. In other words, your body knows how to correct itself and knows how to perform at its best. But if there's subluxation, then it's going to reduce that. You'll have potentially more pain. And most of the people that I see on a regular basis don't have pain, but they experience subluxation in other ways. Okay, so what we can do is we can actually measure the stress in a body and show that a chiropractic adjustment removes subluxation, removes the stress, body performs better. A couple more studies that they did. I don't think I finished my thought on that. There are actually more studies that show benefit outside of the realm of back and neck pain and headaches. There are more studies that show that there's internal organ function improvement with chiropractic than there are that show that there's improvement with back pain. And so a lot of us think that chiropractic is about just pain in the joints. And although we do get good results with that, chiropractic is about so much more and about improving your nervous system so the body functions better and works better. So there's one study in 2015 that showed that adjusting the pelvis, and by the way, these were female college athletes, they adjusted the pelvis and then their vertical jump height improved. They had a higher vertical jump height. And this was a single adjustment. Another study in 2018 evaluated the effects of one adjustment on muscle strength and corticospinal excitability in elite Taekwondo athletes. So they actually measured the ability that the performers had on their strength. They adjusted them one time and they showed an improvement in strength. Why? Because the nervous system was functioning more efficiently with a reduction in stress. And so all these athletes who were adjusted, they had vertical jump height improvement, they had greater strength, they had better excitability in their spinal cord. All of these are direct benefits through one adjustment. And there's more and more of these studies coming out all the time. And so if you're missing out on chiropractic, you're missing out on being adjusted for performance, then you are definitely missing out. And elite athletes know this. If you go to almost any really, really top level event, you'll see a chiropractor there usually. Okay, we're talking about NBA, we're talking about NFL, we're talking about all the top in the world athletic performance platforms. They'll have a chiropractor because they know this. And so the question then is, why does the public not know this as well as elite athletes? And that's the secret that I'm trying to really get out, is this is standard if you're really in a top level. And so I see our stay-at-home moms, I see our pregnant women, I see our kids, I see everybody who comes into my office as an elite athlete. I look at them that way because they have requirements on their body. They don't want their body to fall apart. And so this is super important for longevity, staying at the top of your game. All right, so here's some of the things, even though, like I said, you don't always feel pain, but many people who have reduced performance, many people who have subluxation, interference with their nervous system, they'll experience these things, sleep problems, or they might have the pain, they might have fatigue, they might have irritability or be moody, they might have neck problems or digestive problems, anxiety, depression, chronic immune issues, muscle aches, even low libido. They may have no symptoms at all, but they're not able to get the performance they need because they have a spinal issue. And chiropractic is super helpful for maintaining an optimal performance level. And so the question is, how do we know? How do we know if you have subluxation? Well, in chiropractic, we don't like to guess, we test. And so here's how we evaluate. We use posture. We use range of motion to see if things are moving properly. Thermography measures the temperature along the spine. Palpation, X-ray, or other 3D imaging that I have access to in my office. We also use specific muscle tests that show me the alignment. These are the ways that I test in my office. And so if someone comes in for the first time, I do the full workup on this because ultimately what we want to do is we want to see longevity. And so once again, the American Journal of Pain Management, I'm going to finish this quote. It said, "The spine and posture affects and moderates every physiological function from breathing to nervous system function. And despite the considerable evidence that posture affects physiology and function, The significant influence of posture on health is not addressed by most physicians. The question for you is why? Why do most physicians not address the super important thing of spine and posture? The answer is because it's not a medical doctor's job. Okay, that's a chiropractor's job. And so if people are seeing a medical doctor but not a chiropractor, then it's not really their medical doctor's fault for not involving the spine and posture. Chiropractic is super important, and it goes alongside with medical doctors. So once again, if you want to look at these studies, what they show is that if we continue to do the same, we're continuing to miss out. There's harmful effects if we miss the fact that our spine is so important. If we just resort to drugs, or ultimately if things get really bad and we resort to surgery without really taking care of the problem, it's just not a good thing for the American healthcare system. And so we want to correct that. And so what we're doing is we want to show you how to get healthy. We want to do an evaluation. Like I said, we don't guess, we test. I do the complete evaluation. Normally I charge $150 for all of that. If you're local, wonderful, go to afcidaho.com. When you schedule your appointment online, type in performance, and I will decrease it from $150 down to just $40 for that full evaluation. If we do imaging, imaging is outside my office, so that will be whatever the standard rates for those images. In my office, it'll be $40 instead of $150. Okay, if you're local, wonderful. If you're not, please find a chiropractor that focuses on subluxation so that you can have your performance at your optimal level. I'm gonna give you just one testimonial. So Sandy, wonderful lady. I'm just gonna read her words. They're fantastic. She said, "I couldn't walk normally or walk without pain. I didn't like going to doctors. I did physical therapy, I did medical doctors, lots of expense, and still had the pain." She said she was at the end of a rope. And someone suggested she come see me, and she said, "What? Go see a chiropractor?" She says, "I was in so much pain every day, I could not do my normal activities. I had little quality in my active life, so I took a leap of faith, made an appointment. Dr. Steve, x-rays were taken, reviewed with me and my husband. Dr. Steve was so patient with all my questions. I was very nervous in my first adjustment. Dr. Steve explained everything, done. Oh my gosh, the pain was diminished, and I could walk. Wowza." Okay, she doesn't stop. She continues. She says, "After several weeks, I'm able to move with no pain. Dr. Steve giving me my active life back, able to return to exercising, hiking, terrain, to participate in archery tournaments, hike, camp, bike, sit on the floor and play with my granddaughter." Wonderful. I mean, how many of us don't want to play with our grandkids? And so it's really important for longevity that we have a spine and nerve system that's in proper function so we can stay at our highest level. And like I said, whether that's a childhood soccer player or a weekend warrior. Okay, she continues, "My recovery has been so amazing that my husband also sees Dr. Steve for the aches in his back and knees. We are believers. Dr. Steve Perry is always positive, warm, caring, and kind. I enjoy visiting his office and always leave feeling great and with a smile. He's been a positive life changer for me and my husband. Thank you, Dr. Steve Perry." So that's what we do in our office. We evaluate for subluxation. We remove it so our bodies can function at their best. And so I don't think there's much more to say. I wish you well in your performance endeavors, and we'll see you soon.